coffee black as night. I know you order for you while you fill out immigration forms and flights. A date of issue, surname, passport, address, and postal code. You know all my numbers, check my boxes, I have nothing to disclose. Just the sand in my shoes and the wind in my hair. I'll come back empty-handed, I have nothing to declare. But the traveling blues and the memories of you, I'll come home empty-handed, I have nothing to declare.
Welcome to Motuesday Live here on the Go Figure channel. I am joined, as always, by the best buddies in the world, all the way from down under. We've got
G'day, mate.
And all the way from over there, we got Phil from Treasures for Treasures. Guys, I wanna make a quick suggestion to us before we bring our guest on. We've got our rockin' new morning theme, and there's been some discussion over. I might have hijacked it, making it a morning show with my Canadian bias so early here. But I think it was almost more entertaining to watch the three of us get ready in the 30 seconds that the clip took. Like Phil's taking his coat off, I'm cleaning my glasses, Hazel's getting his last minute snacks in. Like that's almost a better intro to like this film us like getting ready for the last 30 seconds before we go live. Like that was almost a funnier, more 80s bit, but we'll talk the next one. I think Phil's checking some stuff out. But
he's gonna go take his hoodie off again so we can put it back on camera.
That's right. He's gonna re-get unready. That makes sense. I said it properly. Yeah. But
stick by it. Yeah.
We have a guest on this morning that we've wanted to have on for a long time.
Yeah.
And he had to crawl up from the pit where he does his podcast from the pit. Guys, it's Casey Wheeler.
Yeah.
Hey, Casey.
How are you, buddy?
I am good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We were talking this morning. I got to meet Casey Wheeler back at Joe Fest last year, and we were just talking how it was an interesting thing because you go to Joe Fest and most of your good mates are there. We missed Phil. One day, Phil. One day it's going to happen.
One day.
We'll get you there.
We'll get you there. But you kind of meet somebody and you're like, I've heard you and I've chatted with you and I've seen your hands in a video, but it's this kind of thing where you're like, slowly approach guys. They're like, are we friends? I think we're friends, right? And then they're like, yeah, we're friends. So Casey is one of those guys that we got to meet there. Got him to sign the Sky Striker, which is a piece of memory that is right there. So we've been wanting to have you on for a while because Casey, you went all the way to Joe Fest and spent most of your money on Motu stuff, and that's the most Motuesday thing.
I did, yes. It was cheap there. I couldn't pass it up.
No, all the Joe guys were just getting rid of Motu stuff. Like, what's this muscle man about? Again.
Like,
so we're gonna MoFest. We're gonna go to the comment section, see who's hanging out with us this morning, and then we're gonna get into some Motu stuff. We got some legends here already. We've got the Riff Raff starting us off. We got Zazel's Clubhouse. He's like, we're here for the morning show, and he gives me a little bit of Aussie sass there. A little bit. We got Chasing 80s is here, ready to get things going.
Hey, Chris.
The most constant thing in the world is Nate is here for a Tuesday morning with his lovely lady, Kimbo.
Hey, Kimbo.
We got Rolando. Rolando's here. Quickly becoming one of my best online friends because it was amazing Astro Boy drawings. We got Nazi, who just joined the Doom Squad last week at over at the Toy Biz, none of your Toy Biz. And then, guys, all the way from space, we've got the Peppermint Oil Capsule. Space Commander stopping by to say, link, like, and love, subscribe. That's right. And he's going on. So sometimes on a Sunday, we will have some of these chaps will tune in and watch the online stream from my church service. And so people are back there producing. And for a while, it would be like Sergeant Slaughterhouse is commenting on the church stream. And then you'd be like, what is that? And then someone came to me, they said, what's a peppermint oil capsule? And I said, oh, that's just Space Commander, which I think was even more confusing than peppermint oil capsule.
Right, yeah.
They're like, what is that guy talking? Right? Like, what's going on there? Well, we got some absolute beauties in the chat this morning, and we got some beauties right here with us. So just speaking,
Adam, sometimes when it comes to the church stream, sometimes I have to give them a little bit of guidance with the sound quality and the angle. I just give them a few pointers. Go, I can't really hear what's happening there. We go a little bit backwards and forwards. I think I need a producer credit, maybe. I'll talk it over with God and see if I can't get myself a producer credit for your church.
There we go. Oh, the Lilith is here. Morning, Lilith. Hey. How we doing?
Hey, Lilith. Yeah.
As soon as I get my producer credit for your channel in writing, I'll talk to you about helping with the producer credit.
Fair's fair.
Yeah, fair.
Right, we got to get there. No, you're actually quite helpful. My wife is one of the producers, and so she'd be like, "Oh, Zay's saying that this needs to change," and I was like, "That guy just trying to get in on our what's going on here." So it's good. But Casey, you went all the way to Joe Fest and spent all your money on Motu, which we talked about. What was your best Motu purchase at Joe Fest? What was your favorite takeaway?
I just cleaned up my origins, really.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is unrehearsed.
I found Orco. I hadn't been able to find Orco on Origins. I got a lot of Masterverse too.
Yeah, the Masterverse stuff was so
cheap. $10 a piece. Yeah, they were
$10. That's a bargain.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Casey beat me to a Masterverse figure. I saw this particular Masterverse figure at a table for $10, and I said, "Oh, I think my son would love that." But let me double check. And I sent him a text. I was like, "Hey man, do you want a Moss Man Masterverse?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do." And then I went back and it was gone. And then I signed my Sky Striker. He's like, "Look at this Moss Man I got." And I was like, "Oh, Casey."
You snooze, you lose.
$10.
Yeah, that's.
I gotta say, Casey, that is an immaculate looking collection you've got behind you. Like, that looks well organized, dusted. That looks like a labor of love for sure.
Yeah, I was off work for about 6 months with the health problem, and I did all that when I was off.
All right, yeah, that's looking good, mate.
That makes me paranoid, though.
It kept me busy.
It would make you paranoid.
Lean on them.
See, I've got bad history when it comes to shelving just falling over and toppling down, and I'm mostly it's because I'm clumsy, and but it is an impressive collection.
I had at my last church office, we did a renovation of the church. They did a big build, and so we all got new offices, and so we had a company come in and put new furniture and shelving up, and so they've got my office already. So I started putting my collection back in there, and one of my most favorite pieces of my collection, which isn't actually here, it's at my house, is a one-to-one replica of the Shakespeare bust from the old Batman show.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Button inside.
Yeah.
And so I turn my lights on in my bedroom right now is this Shakespeare bust. And so I had that on my desk, and I started putting books in my shelf that was above it. And the company that installed the shelving put tiny little screws in it instead of like regular screws.
Yeah.
Huge shelf came out and just smashed Shakespeare's bust. And then
that's what I'm saying.
And then so we said to the company, like, "Hey, you didn't do this right." And then you'd think it'd be easier to get a company to replace a Shakespeare Batman bust. trying to, they're like, "What is this that we're replacing?" I was like, "Well, it's this prop from an old TV show. It was a whole thing, but we got one, and now I keep it at home in my bedroom." You see, that's what
I'm saying. That's what makes me paranoid, is that it's all going to come crashing down. I mean, I don't mind replacing shelves. It's just wood and screws and metal and stuff. But you put some collectibles on there, and all of a sudden you better make sure that's going to stay.
Yeah, hanging my Joe planes from the ceiling was a little bit nerve-wracking the first time I did it, but now I just do it all the time. You can squeeze it.
Yeah, I just sort of sat back and watched you do it the last time.
That's right. Yeah.
You want to give me a hand here, buddy?
I'm afraid to hang my planes from the ceiling. I think they look cool like that, but I'm kind of afraid to do it, so I just park them on the skyscraper. It's just covered in planes. I'm sorry, on the flag.
We knew what you meant. We know where to park a plane if you're a G.I. Joe fan. So there we go. That's what's going on. So we got some things to talk about here this morning on the Motuesday morning show. And one of the things we do here is we do the Masters of the Universe, and that's where we have our guests kind of give us an idea about what a custom figure would be. And so when it came to Casey, it was one of my favorites. So sometimes people can be very specific. They're like, here's the color, here's the character, here's what I want it to be, here's his backstory. And other times, most infamously, Rob Vegas give us the direction of, do any Motu guys wear trousers? That was the question he wanted to ask. And so very little direction. But Casey gave us a little bit more than that. He gave us what his three favorite figures were. And so this is what we came up with this year. Okay. So step one, we had to build this figure. And so we gave him Beast Man's head. All right. And we gave him just a regular body. And then we gave him Buzz Off's pinchy arms. Because you said you like Clawful, but he has one of those arms. And then we gave him the Clawful and Whiplash legs and Whiplash's tail. And then when it came for accessories, we gave him Buzz Off's axe, because that's one of the only two weapons that'll fit in the claw hand.
True.
And we gave him Clawful's armor as well, as kind of this purple motif here. And we got Smashor, and the story behind Smashor is that, check this out.
Yeah,
he's a pit fighter. He's like a gladiator in the pit fights, because he's like a podcast from the pit kind of situation. If you get what I'm,
I get it.
Right. So he was, and we're gonna build our continuity here. He was a longtime friend of Blastor back when he was a gladiator before he became Rio Blast, which was Shabby Geek's figure. So I think we got to make this figure. I think we got to give it to Casey at Joe Fest this year. And I think we got to get a picture of him and Shabby beside each other with their figures, because they're friends from the continuity. That's what we're going to do this year at Joe Fest.
Really
awesome. It's beautiful. It's great. Thank you.
No,
that's very nice.
I think that works. The Beastman head, I found in doing this, is very versatile, because you give his like beard a different color, or his hair or his mohawk. It's with a little bit of like paint apps. It can do a lot. That the head can do a lot.
I love I love the simplicity of this figure. There's, it's beautiful in its simplicity. I think basic colors, one purple color throughout. Looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think this, of any of the figures that we've put together for Motuesday, would be the most likely to become a like Mattel Creations figure.
Yeah, it looks like one of the ones that would have fit right in the line.
Absolutely. We got Master Versal Toy Hunter here. He's joining us for the party.
Eldor, how are you, bud?
TJC's here.
Hey, TJ.
That guy is pumping out videos lately. It's just his channel's just alive with what's going on.
Hey, speaking of pumping, Phil, what are you pumping? What are you pumping right now? What are you drinking there?
I have got a white ale.
Oh,
yeah. I hear you're back in drinking territory yourself.
Yeah, but at the moment,
now you're on the chocolate milk. Or coffee milk. You had a big afternoon, buddy.
Yeah, well, I had a big night too. So we'll see what this evening brings.
Brilliant.
That's great. guys, I'm getting a little notification here that there's some breaking news going on.
Okay.
We're gonna go to our field reporter and see what's happening here.
Motuesday Action News Reporter. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and the air smells delicious here at Snake Mountain, or should I say, Bake Mountain. I'm news reporter of Motuesday Action News. Big baddies are baking biscuits. That's right, Skeletor has replaced the old Havoc staff with the wooden spoon for the day, and is throwing Snake Mountain's first ever bake sale. The whole crew down here at Baked by Bonehead is pitching in, raising money for Boneface awareness. We're speaking to the man in charge, Skeletor. Thanks for talking to us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, reporter. Thank you for covering our humble little bake sale.
Now, first things first, I have to say, Skeletor, that's a lovely apron you're wearing.
Isn't it just? It's from the Mrs. Retro Tinker Kitchen collection. It's fully reversible and it has pockets.
Indeed it does. Now, you say you're raising money for Boneface awareness. Can you tell us a little something about that?
Absolutely, reporter. Boneface awareness is a cause very near and dear to me. Bonefaceness is an affliction that affects many Eternians who suffer in silence on a daily basis.
Can you tell the viewers what some of those challenges are?
Well, the biggest challenge facing the bone-faced is the discrimination. Bonophobia plays a big part in our day-to-day life. People avoid us. People attack us. They use bone-faced insults, calling us bonehead and other things that I probably shouldn't say on live television. I myself have regular run-ins with the biggest bonophobe in the universe, He-Man. I can't even do my job without that muscle-bound moron interfering.
You don't think that has anything to do with the fact that you're always trying to take over Eternia?
That fleshy-faced boob Randor rules Eternia every day and nobody bats an eye. But as soon as a bone-faced person tries to... You know what? I don't want this to get too political. This isn't about me, okay? This is about doing something good for the bone-faced community. So, we decided to throw a family-friendly fun day bake sale, selling some tasty treats with a friendly, bone-faced smile.
There's a fresh batch, my lord.
You've burnt them, you red-headed buffoon! Go start again, and if I find any more ginger hairs in the batter, I'll force-feed it to you till it leaks out your ears. Sorry about that. Good help is hard to find. Where were we?
Friendly bone-faced smile?
Right, yes. Family-friendly bake sale.
Now, some people are wondering, since you're the only bone-faced person around, aren't you just raising money for yourself?
The only bone-face around? What kind of bonophobic rhetoric is that? We bone-faced are accustomed to being overlooked, but to be disregarded entirely, that hurts. We bone-faced are a proud and beautiful people, and we are many.
Do you know any others personally?
Tons. There's Scareglow and, others. Look, the fact is, bone-facedness affects 1 in 10,000 Eternians. You can look it up on Eterniapedia. It's there, trust me. Okay? Moving on.
Okay, moving on. So, what can patrons expect from a visit to Baked by Bonehead?
Well, we've got all kinds of baked goods, cookies, cupcakes, cinnamon scrolls. We'll be cooking flapjacks until 10 a.m. for those looking for a little breakfast. We've fitted a coffee machine to Trapjaw for those of you who need a caffeine kick. We've even got a petting zoo for the kids.
I am not an animal.
You'll be what I tell you to be. Now shut up, get on all fours and look adorable. And if I hear you've bitten another kid, I'll lock you in a cage with Stinkar and throw away the key. Damn, can we cut that bit?
Well, we're live, so...
So, come on down to Baked by Bonehead and support a wonderful cause. There's something here for everyone.
Well, you heard him, folks. If you find yourself with a hankering for some sweet treats, then get yourself to Snake Mountain before they sell out. I personally hear a couple of flapjacks calling my name. It's kind of creepy, actually. Anywho, I'm news reporter of Motuesday Action News signing off. Back to you.
That was so good. Oh man.
So a
Don't eat the gingerbread, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. There was a couple things, a couple takeaways. First off, if Nate doesn't make a Bonophobia T-shirt, then he's done his life wrong. I think that needs to be its own show. Like it's a bit part on ours, but I don't know if you guys saw, but that in real time, that hilarious video attracted a real extra viewer in one of our streams that came over, watched, laughed hysterically, and then left. So that I think there's merit there to have their own show. But in a PSA about bone faceness, Skeletor was pretty mean to gingers. If I find another ginger hair in there, that to me was the highlight, that moment.
And a shout out to Mrs. Retro Tinker for the apron as well.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Leona enjoyed that. She came. I think you're referring to that. Leona popped in and watched a bit of that retro, so that was brilliant.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Mrs. Retro Tinker to start her own channel where it's just her filming Nate doing that. Where he's like, "Hello," like doing the voices. That's
that was great.
Brilliant.
Loved every minute of it.
All right. So we're going to get into the bulk of the show today, guys. And so what we're going to talk about, we're going to go through all the Motu play sets. And we're going to kind of talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of how they're all perfect. But we'll get there. So moving on from Smash Bros., if we were going to start somewhere for play sets, we'd have to start with Castle Grayskull. So did everybody here have a Grayskull as a kid?
No.
Me.
I did.
So,
I had no play sets, just cricket bags.
Just cricket bags. You put them all in the cricket bag and just.
Ouch, Bill.
No Grayskull for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had Grayskull, but it wasn't until later on, and I got it at a yard sale. So that's how I got my Grayskull. But if you look at like this box art, like look at that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got Castle Grayskull as a kid. I got a photo of it with me and my brother Todd. He got Snake Mountain, and we'll get to Snake Mountain later. But I mean, I presume we'll get to Snake Mountain. Snake Mountain.
Imagine I forgot that one.
Yeah. Anyway, Castle Grayskull. I remember being enamored by the box before I even got into it. Right, just I'd seen. I don't even know how much of the cartoon I'd even seen yet, right? Probably not a lot. But I remember just loving the art on the box, wondering what it is and why it exists. Whose castle is it? What's the go with it? It's obviously not really to scale in that box there.
No.
Barbie Dreams, nice. But it's probably one of the most iconic. It's not even iconic as a toy. It's the silhouette of Castle Grayskull is iconic, and the fact that you see it in the beginning of every episode of Masters of the Universe, and it's the backdrop to Prince Adam, transforming into He-Man. There's no part of Castle Grayskull that doesn't belong in a collection of Masters of the Universe. And Phil, I know you've got one now.
Yes, I do. I've got an Origins one on the other side of the world, but yeah, it's waiting patiently for me to crack it open one day. I think they did a great job with the Origins as well, right? I think all of these play sets so far, the Origins have done a pretty good. Mattel's done a good job of replicating or making improvements actually on the vintage releases.
Improvement. Oh, sacrilege! I love the Origins Castle Grayskull. I love it, but what I don't love is how symmetrical it looks. Whereas the original Castle Grayskull looks like it's it looks like something spiritual, something otherworldly. It looks more than just It looks like more than just a castle built of rock to look like a stone. I mean, look like a skull, not a stone. It looks like there's something happening with it. I love it. I love it. Not that I don't mind the Origins one. The Origins one is fantastic, but this, it's just it's such a beautiful mess.
Yeah, I think that it was an interesting thing to watch our community in our age bracket when the Castle Grayskull was released into stores. And guys just went nuts. Like it was almost like they couldn't control themselves buying it. And even Phil, like in your video, you went back to New Zealand and you saw it for the first time in a box. And you're like, I just can't leave it there.
Had to get it. Yeah, had to come home with me.
Right. And so I think this playset is tied to, again, so much of the lore. Like you could play He-Man without having a Snake Mountain, but you couldn't without a Castle Grayskull, right? It's so integral to what's going on. But again, the box art I've said before, lots of guys our age will sometimes say that. Yeah, for me, it was the mini comics was my continuity. My continuity was just the box art for the most part, right? It looked so visceral and like it told a story on that front box art, like this image here, like that told the story. You didn't know how that story ended, but it told you a story. Like it got you going, and you're in there. So Casey, what do you remember when you got your Castle Grayskull and the memories around it?
My parents got it for me pretty much when it came out. Was that 82?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 10. Loved it. Didn't know a lot about He-Man. Like I said, I just went off the boxes and the mini comics. And I kind of made my own world with it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I did end up buying, because obviously I didn't have my childhood one, so I did get the Origins Castle Grayskull, and I love it.
Yeah, like I say, Origins did a great job. And I think Zazel hit it in the head, though. They made it symmetrical, which I think was the same thing that the Classics one did, which that thing goes for huge money now. But there's something about this original vintage one that just it'll never be duplicated again. You can never see that again. And the thing with the
vintage one as well is there's so many sort of variations of it, right? Each one has slight differences in shading and colors and the amount of black they use around the eyes and that sort of thing. So that sort of adds to the uniqueness of it as well.
Yeah, Bill's here. Everybody say morning, Bill.
Hey,
Morning,
Bill.
The other interesting thing about Grayskull, and so I got mine from a yard sale, or as I guess some people would say, like a car boot sale or a rummage sale, depending on where you are in the world. But it had the 2 floors and the chair, and that was it. But it didn't matter. It's almost like all the stuff that came with it extra, like it was fine. But if you had that shell in the door, you were laughing. Like you're like, that's all we needed to play. The other stuff was great. And like I say, it came with a slew of weapons and, these cool cardboard cutouts and stuff. But none of that stuff really translated to the show ever. It was just that silhouette of the castle, and inside was the sorceress and everything, right?
Inside it was, in the cartoon, I mean, there were many layers and levels and dimensional portals. I will say I might be easily impressed, right?
Go on.
But how clever is it to call the drawbridge the jaw bridge?
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best.
I love it. The Origins one that didn't come with the spaceman armor and you had to try and get it off of Mattel Creations or however they bloody did it. Oh, outrageous. Outrageous.
It was a San Diego Comic-Con thing, wasn't it?
Even worse then. Get out of here with that garbage.
Yeah.
It's worse than Stinkor.
So those are the kind of decisions. Yeah, it's the season 2 Stink or Hate. That we're gonna make a t-shirt.
Here it is.
Every season gonna have different one I hate.
Yeah, watch out next year, Snout Spout.
Watch out.
But it's that decision is one of those ones that an Origins line, which told you it wasn't actually a line for kids, it was a line for us, right? When they came up with it at first, they're like, this is a line to get kids into He-Man again. And quickly we took it over with multiple head sculpts, different hands, Comic-Con exclusives. And I was like, so no kid out there who really wants a Grayskull is going to be able to complete it because their parents are going to San Diego to get this suit of armor. But actually, Castle Grayskull was so popular that some guys even made custom ones for the movie. That's a whoa! Say what you will there.
I will. Looks brilliant.
Looks brilliant. I had to put in my own little cameo. That's what we do around here.
That's gold. Hey, Casey,
Yes.
did you end up getting that the Spaceman armor, or does that elude your collection too?
No spaceman armor.
Does it bug you as much as it bugs me?
No.
It's just me then. All right.
Yeah, they also did the 3D grate, right? The 3D like castle grate that used to be a sticker. And
yes,
that came with that set as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good stuff. But for every Castle Grayskull, so before we get to Snake Mountain, I think this counts as a play set, and you guys can harp on me if you don't think it does. But Point Dread and the Talon Fighter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I think we think of the Talon Fighter, but it came with this little chunk of a play set. And there was like a computer in the back, and you could take the top off and put it on top of Grayskull, so it could be part of the one play set. It's not a big part play set, but I wish they would have stuck with this in that having play sets that you could expand onto Grayskull with.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right? Like it has I loved that. I thought that was cool. The Talon Fighter is a bit of a goofy plane, but I'll give some points for Point Dread. Did you guys have Point Dread as a kid? Did you get that one as well?
I did,
Points,
yes.
points,
So Casey had it. Lucky duck.
Does it
Well,
kind
I
of
don't
just rest on the top, or does it sort of snap into place? Just where does it go?
So it's two pieces, and so the top part comes off, and it fits right into the top pillar with the
Okay.
cutouts. So it kind of snaps on. It doesn't snap. It just kind of rests, but it fits snugly in there,
Right.
and adds to your Grayskull. So, which I love that.
Yeah. I still want to get the Origins. I don't have that one yet to go with my Grayskull. So maybe Joe Fest this year.
All right. I'm gonna help you find that. We're gonna go
$10 deal.
Yeah.
That's right. Casey's gonna go around with just $10 bills. And he's like, I'll pay no more or no less.
Everything is
For your
$10.
vote,
It's
too.
only $2, sir.
He just slowly slides it across the table.
So Casey, did you pick up more Motu than Joe stuff at Joe Fest last year? Did you?
Oh yeah, about 90% more.
Really?
Most of the stuff I picked up wasn't even from Joe Fest. We went to that other store.
Yeah, you got your pirate
Yeah, and my Tila.
and your Tila. Absolutely.
You
And
know,
by Tila, don't
I'm
you
glad
mean
that
Evelyn?
you... Go ahead.
I was gonna say by Tila, don't you mean Evelyn?
Yes, correct.
Or just your
Correct.
facts and Basil's purchases.
Look, mate, I've had the first beer in months, so
Yeah.
maybe I've still got the follow-on effect. Anyway, I'm glad you brought up Point Dread as a playset because I would have overlooked it. But you're absolutely right. This is a playset, and it can be part of Castle Grayskull, obviously, and looks like to be a part of Castle Grayskull. By the green and the blockiness of it, but on its own, it's still a pretty appropriate size playset. So it's really good. I like it. Good inclusion.
Yeah, and I thought they could have recolored it and used it for a bunch of other stuff. I think we used it for our klepto item.
Yeah.
Remember? Where he
Yeah.
put all his weapons around that he stole. So yeah, I think there's some untapped potential there. So maybe I should get a Point Dread and then make a custom movie version to go with my movie Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And figure out what goes on the top. But we'll go on the top. We'll figure that out. We'll talk about that in the comments. Let us know what will go on the top of a Point Dread for a movie version, and then I'll make it, and it'll be great. But moving on, we have the other tentpole of the line, which is Snake Mountain. And so I was born in 81. So when Grayskull came out, I wasn't even aware of toys, but I distinctly remember Snake Mountain being in stores, and my buddy across were getting it brand new, and us like rushing over to play with the microphone, and just like in hindsight, this playset does not get a lot of love from our community. It gets a lot of like, well, it's boring. But I think there's a lot of play value on the front of this playset and having the microphone and whatnot in there as well. Now, you said Retro Tinker thinks that a pink Cadillac needs to go on top of Point Dread for the
the movie. Yeah.
Cool.
But you said Nazi had this one.
Yeah.
And he's saying he loved his Snake Mountain. Phil, you said you had no playsets. Now, Casey had both Skull and Point Dread. Did you also have Snake Mountain, Casey?
No. I asked my wife for the origins for my birthday, so I'll let you know in a couple days if I got it or not.
Oh, now she's on the hook.
Well, happy birthday for in a couple of days, Casey.
Happy birthday, Casey.
Thank you.
21.
Isn't it great that a toy came out in 1983, and now we're like, I'd like this for my birthday, wife. This is what I was still.
Yeah.
She bought Masters of the Universe cupcake toppers for my cake this year.
Yes.
I love it.
Beautiful. He's a keeper.
Yeah, that's a keeper right there.
So we've seen what Snake Mountain was before it was Snake Mountain. In that like a mountain.
Talking about this bad boy right here?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get ahead of you.
No, it's fine. You just take over, bud.
Well, now I feel rotten. However, I will continue. I
love it.
But I think that it looks way better as a jungle playset than it does Snake Mountain. I do admit that I like the Muppet-looking face on the front of Snake Mountain. But this looks way better.
Yeah. And you know what? They just do both. Just make them both.
Just do both.
So I was tempted. I was tempted with Eternia when Mattel Creations released that. I was like, well, because I'm not a modern guy. I'm vintage only. If they did this set, I would be in. I'm back in, baby. Which version
of Evil?
What is the origins? What is the origins of this set? I've never seen this before.
Where did this come
from?
This was going to be the first He-Man playset when it was like he was like a jungle person that was just given armor by the Green Goddess, and so they're going to release a jungle playset. And then when the Filmation show took over, they said, well, we need a Snake Mountain. So they just took this and then added the Muppet face to it and the microphone, and that's why Snake Mountain, the toy, looks nothing like Snake Mountain from the show.
Okay.
Because they said we have a playset.
Yeah, this looks spectacular.
We have a playset with a snake on it. That'll do.
And you know what? This would be twice as cool for G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah.
It'd be way better scaling too.
Yeah. Maybe.
So are there like prototypes of this out there? Are there?
So this is the one and only image of it.
The one and only. Okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's a custom job we should get working on here. But yeah, I think the play value in this with the boulders that come out, and all of a sudden the door at the top as like part of ruins makes sense, right? Because like having a prison door at the top of this mountain that doesn't go anywhere doesn't make much sense to me. But this place that also is famously just called "There's nothing inside," like it's very empty inside. Like
so I think this is the one where I think Origins made going back to Origins, making improvements. I think they did a better job of the insides from what I've heard, right? In terms of there being more space to put your figures and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one, Phil.
So, but this one wasn't released in the shops, I don't think, in New Zealand. Like in New Zealand, we could only get the Castle Grayskull. I don't think this made retail in New Zealand. I don't know. Did it make retail in Australia or?
Yeah, we had it. Yeah.
We had it.
My brother had it. He, if he was feeling generous, we would all play around it. If he wasn't, then he'd play by himself with it, and we wouldn't be able to go anywhere near it.
No,
but,
I mean the Origins one.
Oh. No, we got nothing, mate. No. We get nothing in.
Nothing.
Yeah, no, I never saw Origin Snake Mountain retail even in North America.
I do own one though. Currently at Nodgy's place. Maybe he can send me some photos of it one day. And it came from Big Bad Toy Store. The postage was a little bit, but whatever. I got it.
So we've got from Lilith that the handcuffs love to break on these. Yeah, they're very. So there's a couple of
they're
things.
They're not made for human hands, mate.
Yes, stop wearing them. But the bridge is really delicate. The little and the chains. Now I have I've designed and printed some chains up for Shabby's, which I can either send him or wait for Joe Fest to set the guy. But I got some shackles for Shabby's Snake Mountain. But yeah, this play set is really cheap to get if you want to get just like a almost complete one. But as soon as you get the complete bridge and the chains and actually the battery cover for the voice modulator, then it skyrockets to be very, very expensive because those accessories are always gone. So,
yeah, it does look pathetic inside. Like that's gutless. There is nothing to it.
Nothing to it. But I will say the front of this place that has a lot of play value with the bridge and with the snake. So there is good stuff here. But I think this would have been way better. Like I think this is incredible.
Yeah. That's the winner there for sure.
Absolutely.
So I wonder what's on the other side of that version. Probably not a lot either, but it makes sense that it's all the play is supposed to be in the front of this.
So I think the other side of this was going to incorporate the Tila Green Goddess gimmick. So the idea between Tila when she was released, when it said Goddess Warrior, it was supposed to be Goddess and Warrior. So she's supposed to be two different characters. She's supposed to be Tila, and then when she wore the snake armor, she was the Goddess who gave all He-Man his stuff. So I think in behind it was like her home. You know, they were just trying stuff back in the day.
Chris is saying Skeletor is a minimalist. That's why it was empty inside.
Yeah. Well, he was a bit empty inside himself.
Yeah.
Johnny's here, and he says shackles for Shabby with the 80s band.
How are you, Johnny?
Hey, Johnny. G'day, buddy.
The Lilith fires back, but they want you to use your imagination, mate.
Oh.
It's all happening in the chat.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, that's fire, pure fire. So then moving on from this is another what I call small playset, which is great because it wasn't a huge dollar to get, but the Horde slime pit.
Yeah,
I had this as a kid, and I loved it. And this was the first time slime was ever sold as an accessory. So Mattel actually trademarked the term slime as a toy, which is why Ghostbusters had ectoplasm instead of slime, and Turtles had ooze instead of slime because they couldn't use the word slime because Mattel had the rights to it. So, but this little beauty right here, again, it didn't take up a lot of real estate, but it had a great play gimmick, and man, oh man, you could have a whole story revolving around this bad boy.
Yeah. I like that in the Masters of the Universe that even creatures that are locked into a certain location or whatever are still potentially living or undead creatures that have a sort of their own life.
Yeah. Well, the story behind this guy here, this dinosaur, is that he suffered from bone faced, which is yeah, I'm going across Eternia, and so we're trying to raise awareness for that today. I think and so that's what's going on. That's what's going on with him. But no, I think this is again. So growing up, we had movies that would be on TV that we probably shouldn't have watched, but they were edited for television, so it was okay to watch them. And I loved watching Conan the Barbarian, the TV edit of it. And you'd just find in that he'd like find the Atlantean ruins where he found his sword, and he'd have all these different ruins he'd come across. And so this to me just looked like a piece that used to be something, and it's there. Like you could build a whole world around it. So like I as a kid, I would prefer to have the slime pit to Snake Mountain. Like I'm like, this is so much more play value to me.
I reckon parents must have hated this thing.
So interesting story that nobody knew, but there's records of it, and Scott Knightlick found some proof of this and put it in his book when he talked about the art and the story of Motu. If you got slime on your carpet, Mattel would replace your carpet for you.
Huh.
They would there's a record of parents like writing in, we have the slime pit, slime got in the carpet and it's ruined, and Mattel, like there was at least a dozen or so carpets that were replaced by Mattel. It's just a lot of people didn't think to do that. They were just like, oh, it ruined the carpet and now this toy costs us. But Mattel would pay for your carpet if it got ruined by the slime pit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think if people would have known that,
you wouldn't want to get your Grizzlor figure stuck under this thing, would you? I know it's a Horde playset, but imagine poor old Grizzlor stuck under the slime.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't want that. Interesting fact, gentlemen. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but oftentimes toy ideas are recycled, and this playset came out a few years ago, which was just a redo of the slime pit. But does anybody know what the toy line that came out with? Little quiz here.
How long ago?
This came out, I'd say, 15 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. Early to mid 2000s.
I was going to say something like the Skeleton Warriors, but that's not far back enough.
Nothing to do with Hercules or Xena or anything.
Nope.
No.
You know what's crazy is that we're thinking 15 years ago, and we're thinking before the year 2000.
That was 15 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Isn't that crazy how far into the 2020s we are?
We're only 25, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I wish. Casey, what's your guess?
I have no clue. I've never seen this.
Ben 10.
You want to know why you've never seen this? Because it's a Harry Potter playset.
What?
Oh.
The Magical World of Harry Potter reused the slime pit gimmick.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Oh, from that scene in Harry Potter and the slime pit.
Yeah, Harry Potter and the Evil Horde.
The Evil Horde.
So good ideas never fade. But
looks okay.
I think it looks great. You put your Motu figures in this. That looks like another. This.
Yeah,
could be,
I was gonna say I'd happily put that amongst my Motu collection for sure.
Yeah,
that could be a Skeletor's version.
I was going to say it almost looks like two ends of the same hall or something, right? Like it could have these heads could be like feuding with each other. I don't know. Well, let's.
Like Little said, just use your imagination.
That's right. So maybe this is going to start a segment of the show. No, this is going to start a segment of the show where I find a playset that isn't Motu and say. We're gonna make it official. We're gonna officially make this part of Motu. So Harry Potter playset, you're officially part of Motu, and we're gonna keep that going. In. And guess what? Geek Strong is here. He's one of our newer members of the Doom Squad, Doom Strong Geek Bot, which is my favorite name of any of the Doom Squad.
Yeah.
That was a good little one. And then moving on from this, we get, and I think this this is not that it's not popular, but I think this is very underrated. It's not held to the same degree that Gray Skull and Snake Mountain are, but the Fright Zone.
I had
Bill
this one.
loves this one.
This is the one I had, the one and only.
Oh, this is if you're gonna have one, Phil, this is not a bad one to have at all. This is great. Did you have this one or play with this one, Zaza or Casey?
No.
I don't think I would have been trusted with this one.
With the puppet.
Go on.
I don't want to. But no, we didn't have it. But I love the look of it.
Yeah, it's a different take on a playset because it's not a castle, but it's just like a section of a landscape almost. But it's got this sweet little prism you can throw guys in. It's got this tree that reminds me, again, to go back to Conan, like the tree of woe that they tie him to. And this tree is like a claw that grabs people. And it's got this snake puppet, which again, I love the sectars and the puppet situation.
Yeah.
So like to me, this is a 10 out of 10, this playset. It's brilliant. Phil, you said you had this one. Do you have?
It's got the rocks that kind of roll on the bottom as well, right? So
yeah, the kind of the terrain can kind of be an avalanche. You said you had this one, Phil. Did you love this thing as a kid? Was this your prized possession?
Loved it. Yeah, definitely. So I know Zazel's not big on the evil horde, but I was definitely all about the horde. So Grizzlaw, Hordak, they're all over it. Yeah. It was definitely a favorite piece in the Motu collection for sure. I don't think the puppet lasted very long. I think we would have whipped the puppet out and used it elsewhere and probably lost it very quickly. But
the puppets now are so hard to find, and if you do find one, they're so gross.
They're all just yeah.
They're all just
smelly
sticky grossness. I found that the Canadian store, the Dollarama, makes a like a proprietary Dollarama brand snake puppet that fits in really well and works good. And I got one set aside for Phil next time I send him a box of stuff. Here's Nate saying like Adam's solution to the puppet replacement. But I hope for collector's sake that someone eventually makes a repro puppet. Yeah, if you have got a rubber molding machine and some time.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Retro Tinker do a skit for the news reporter where it's just literally just a sock with googly eyes on it.
But in this playset?
Yeah.
What if they did puppet auditions like American Idol, where it's here's your Fright Zone puppet audition, and there's all kinds of different puppets going through there. Yeah,
brilliant. I'm down.
Yeah, so this is Chris. He says, I don't dare move my Fright Zone monster anymore. They're really falling apart now. Yeah, if the people that have them, they really kind of get crumbly pretty quick. Retro Tinker says he needs a Fright Zone. Well, buddy,
use your imagination.
Well, I was gonna say, buddy, Christmas is coming, so don't buy one yourself yet. All right, buddy. There's you've got friends all around the world. But this to me, just having this like interactive landscape, as a kid it blew my mind because playsets were a castle, right? They're like a castle or a thing, and this just being like a part of a world, it was great. And so my buddy actually had this, and I had this, and we would put them together and make a bigger Fright Zone, like a Fright area.
Literally world building.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Now we're gonna move on, folks.
You wash your hands, Liana.
Wash your hands now.
Yeah.
So.
And I forgot to hit the mute. Brilliant.
You know what,
everyone? My daughter's just been to the toilet. Okay, moving along.
Wash your hands.
It takes a village to raise a child, Phil. It takes a village.
That's right. We're all here for you, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Lilith is saying that all these sets can work with different lines too. Absolutely. Like this as being like a Cobra Law hangout Can you imagine that? Like,
Oh, true.
right? Like it all works great. But now we're going to go to the holy grail of Motu playsets, the one, and that's Eternia. And
Is it though? Is it the Holy Grail? I would argue that this sits more as a Thundercats appropriate looking playset than it ever did a Masters of the Universe one. It is, I don't know. Apart from the side Grayskull looking part and the Snake Mountain looking part, it almost would have sold even better if they did a mashup of Thundercats and He-Man. Thundercats invading the world of Masters of the Universe with the new Eternia playset. I don't know.
So I'm just going to talk from my own personal bias, and I'm not always right. I just know what I like. And so when the Origins one came out, and what that did was it allowed collectors like us for a quarter of what these are going for, to own an Eternia finally that wasn't going to shatter when you put it together, and was even a little bit bigger than this, but we were finally going to be able to own the thing that was so elusive to complete our collections. And so I had a moment where I was like, do I buy this? Like, do I buy the Origins? It's a playset, so it's not like it's a figure with different articulation. You can put it in the collection, and it fills that hole. But what did it for me was I said, do I even like this playset? And to me, that I don't love this as a playset. Like, it's got a monorail, which isn't very Motu to me. There isn't like it doesn't do one thing. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, but it's big. But to me, there's more play value in the Fright Zone. I don't know. You guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I never saw this like in the Filmation series or anything like that. So I've, no connection to it whatsoever. And I think because it came out so late in it was one of the last wave releases, right? I'd already sort of passed through Motu by that stage, so it doesn't have any nostalgic appeal to me whatsoever, actually. But I agree, the Origins is a good option because this vintage version is so bloody expensive now.
Yeah,
and it just crumbles to pieces. So,
yes.
yeah, I can live happily without it.
Casey, do you have any thoughts on the Eternia playset?
Yeah, I would like to have it. I've finally seen one in person at a toy store close to my house, and it was pretty impressive.
What was the price tag on it at the toy store by your house?
He wasn't selling it. He was putting it together. He was missing a few parts. I imagine it was going to be pricey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really wanted to get the Origins, but I just couldn't swing it at that time.
I think Joe Rocondo has a couple extra ones if you're looking for one.
I've seen that. But to me, though, my collection's not. I mean, I'm not completist, so this was not something I would have to have, but I would like that.
Right. So, with what I said may have been controversial. I don't really like it as a playset. Why I like Geek Strong is because he'll double down on it for me and say something even a little more controversial.
Oh,
he said it's the Godfather of playsets, very overrated. So anybody who loves the Godfather, you just go over and talk to Geek Strong. I'll tell you what.
Actually, I just watched The Godfather for the first time not long ago, and I got to admit it was a tough watch. But I saw Eternia once in my lifetime, and it was at a toy show, and it was ludicrously priced. And I looked at it, and I went, "This is never going to sell. The price of it's way too high for a playset that looks ridiculous." And as I was sitting there thinking that to myself, someone came along and bought it, and just completely shattered that whole theory. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't look like Masters of the Universe to me, and I'm not going to go as far as to say that it's a bad playset. I'm just going to say it's shit. That's all.
Would you be more appropriate if the Castle Grayskull Tower was a Spikor themed tower, and the Snake
Yeah.
Mountain Tower was a Stinkor themed tower.
Yeah.
And this was just the worst. It was just called the worst.
It's just the worst playset ever. Isn't it just suck?
No,
But
and
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is,
Like, again, maybe if we heard from somebody that had it as a kid, loved it as a kid, as opposed to those adult collectors now that are just like, this is the holy grail of Masters of the Universe. I've got to own it just because it's rare and whatever. Those are two very different things. Having a fond memory of it as a child and therefore loving it would be understandable. Just wanting it for the sake of wanting it. How are you, Vintage Toy Rush?
how's it
G'day.
going, buddy?
I don't know. I just
Yeah, there is the
I'm a
thing
little
about like
behind.
scarcity makes things, desirable, even though they for the most part, the ones that weren't desirable at the time became the most rare because they weren't like, you know what I mean? Like when you look at the Superpowers line and Cyborg is the most valuable figure in it, you're like, but who wanted Cyborg as a kid? You wanted Batman and Superman and Robin, and like that's what you didn't want Cyborg, and so that's why he's so rare.
I think my biggest issue with it, I'll be upfront and say that probably my biggest issue about it is that it was at the back end of the Masters of the Universe line, which means they had so much lore to pull from. They decided to call it Eternia, and it looks literally like nothing we've ever seen of Eternia ever.
Yep. If they would have released a Castle Grayskull style playset, like that opening clamshell castle, and just had it look like a golden symmetrical castle and called it like the Eternian Palace, I'm in for that, because that exists in the world, right? And you could have had like a battle armor Man-at-Arms come with it or something.
Well,
Yeah, I've never seen it in person. I've like just looking at this photo, it doesn't look that impressive actually. I guess it's just the scale of it that gets people. I don't know, the fact that it is the biggest, Motu playset
I reckon
produced.
there's a bunch of people that didn't even know this existed until they were an adult and retroactively now want it in their collection.
Right. Vintage Toy Rush here, maybe my new best friend, because he hit the nail on the head. He says it does have a monorail, but Micronauts got there first. Are you guys familiar with the Micronauts line?
I'm familiar with it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. We should do a deep dive on Micronauts sometime. They had like this like air tube system you could go, and they had a monorail. Like Micronauts toys were incredible, and so yeah, they got there first. But if there was a monorail in the cartoon or in the lore, I would get behind it. But I was like, why do they need a monorail going around in a circle when they can just ride Battle Cat around in a circle?
Because that's supposed to represent Castle Grayskull, right? And Snake Mountain.
Well, it's supposed to be like attached to it. I think that the idea was you could put your Castle Grayskull beside it, and it would become part of Castle Grayskull. I don't know how well that worked out.
Who's taking a monorail to Snake Mountain?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of times in the cartoon where He-Man would be like, we got to go to Snake Mountain. They'd get on the monorail, they'd go to Snake Mountain, and then they would get out in battle, right? That happened a lot.
I hope Nate is in the comment section tallying up how many times we say mountain and don't actually have the T in it. All right, fair enough.
But I do feel sorry for all those people that got the Origins one and their boxes got all banged up.
Oh, yeah.
Paying $500 or $600 of your hard-earned cash, and it turns up and it's the box is just in such a crappy condition. I wouldn't be happy. I would not be a happy chappy.
No, and especially when they put so much work into the box looking good, right? Like they put a lot of work into that packaging. And it's also like I think mentioned last time, it's not like there's more than the store you can go and return one for a better package. Like they're done. Like that's how many there are. So but I think the people that wanted one got one, and there's more out there in the circulation now. So, and I see those prices on the Origin ones coming down. So maybe at some time you get this, but to me, the silhouette of Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, that was Eternia. You put those two together, and you have Eternia. And so, I don't see this as a necessary thing, but it is impressive with the size of it, right?
Yeah, but is it though? It's just tall. There's not much else happening with it. Like Snake Mountain at least opens up, whether or not it's got anything on the inside. Castle Grayskull opens up and has a whole bunch of stuff happening on the inside. This is a tower with a monorail going to 2 smaller towers. I don't know. I don't have it. I don't know what's in it. I don't know. I might just be hating on it. I'm just gonna calm my farm.
That's what I say when I meet most Dutch people. Are they impressive or are they just tall?
All right, I'm going to get off my high horse now. What do I know? I don't own it. I don't know. Who am I to have an opinion so ravenous?
Right, but all that. So we saw all the play sets of Motu. I think we all can agree that this one is the rarest, but maybe the least desirable, but also the one that commands the most money, which is a bit of a conundrum. But
yeah.
Has there been a playset as necessary as Castle Grayskull in a collection, do you guys think?
No. So, like I said before, Castle Grayskull is the backdrop of every transformation of Prince Adam to He-Man. It is, if you only own a He-Man and Castle Grayskull, well, then you've got a great backdrop. I would say it's almost as necessary as Battle Cat for He-Man.
Yeah, I mean, Castle Grayskull's so perfect that they were never going to top that, were they? No matter what they brought out after that, they peaked too early. That's the problem. They brought out perfection from the beginning.
Yeah.
Speaking of perfection,
Leona, what a gem you're doing.
Yeah. You're right. Grayskull is clearly the champion of the Motu.
But even outside Motu, like we think about other iconic play sets of our childhood, and like you think about like the G.I. Joe headquarters is incredible, but you didn't need it to play G.I. Joe, right? But I think Castle Grayskull was like almost a prerequisite. Like you had to have it.
It's definitely probably the most iconic playset location, right? I didn't have the G.I. Joe headquarters, and like you said, you didn't need it because you were using your Joes to go out on missions. You didn't necessarily have to have them at base. I love our buddy Hans Chow recently asked us a query. It's like, would it be better to have the what's that Cobra boat called again? The
hydrofoil.
The hydrofoil or the sea platform thing. Why am I forgetting the name of that too?
Well,
Phil,
because you're not a real fan.
Mobile, I can't remember.
The battle platform? I don't know, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Casey, do you know what that's called? The ocean, the thing that looks like it's that sits on the water.
I know it's got battle in the title.
Yeah, battle platform, whatever it's called.
Platform.
The moray, that's it. That's a moray. So the question was, do I get the moray or do I get this battle platform? And while they both look cool, I always thought that play sets were better for world building. But even that, none of those are a guaranteed need to have in G.I. Joe. Most of them look cool. Like the flag, for instance, looks cool. And thanks to Crash, I own one. But was it a necessity? No, it's like just awesome, but it's not a necessity. The G.I. Joe headquarters, awesome, not a necessity. The Ghostbusters Firehouse, awesome to have, and also a really good backdrop. Is it a necessity? Not as much as Castle Grayskull.
Well, and I think the execution of the Ghostbusters Firehouse wasn't great. Like the car didn't fit in the door.
Right.
Like it was a good attempt, but it didn't land as well as Grayskull was perfect.
Yeah, and that the turtle lair, looking at the turtle lair, I remember that being pretty cool. But again, not a necessity to as much as I feel like Castle Grayskull is. And I love all of these things. I love G.I. Joe. I love Ninja Turtles. But there is something about Castle Grayskull and the Masters of the Universe where it's like it's almost a must-have.
The G.I. Joe tactical battle platform.
That's it.
Thanks, buddy. The Joe Bird guys did a great video using that too.
I was going to say, now, this contrary to my last comment, this is an impressive Dutchman. Or he's
Yes.
not just tall; he's actually quite impressive. So Lilith says,
I love the fact. Actually, sorry to interrupt. I love the fact that with the new Filmation cartoon series figures that they've brought out, they've used Castle Grayskull as the backdrop of the card art.
Yeah, Adam hates that.
Oh, really? I reckon it looks bloody brilliant.
Well, I think the card art is great for people that love and want those toys. I want
them.
You do?
Want those. Oh yeah, I think they look great. Yeah,
I'm happy that you do. I love
want what I can't have. Basically.
I love the cameo of Leona, but not. No, Leona, don't leave. It's almost like you have a small superimposed person on your desk.
You're gonna come and say hello.
It's like a Hobbit forced perspective situation where you just have a small Leona on the desk. It's great. But even if you go back like to Star Wars and like the Death Star playset and whatnot, like even the Millennium Falcon, like that was more of a ship than a playset. But I think in Leona, how you doing? I think that in all of like toy history, the most quintessential playset was Castle Grayskull. You could argue maybe the Batcave, but I don't think there was one that was as recognizable as Castle Grayskull. Like there's one Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's that iconic silhouette. Casey, seeing as how you have both the flag and Castle Grayskull in your collection as we speak, would you agree that Castle Grayskull trumps the flag as far as playsets and iconic playsets?
I would say yeah, because it's got more playability. Really, I mean the flag is just huge. It's almost like a coffee table.
Right.
So it's not as convenient. It's awesome, but I mean, you guys are right. Castle Grayskull is the best playset.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris here from Chasing 80s, he says, question for Adam. Love to hear how you think Fort Kirium, which I love as a playset, would rank in the world of 80s playsets. So Fort Kirium is a fantastic playset. It's actually right there. But it's massive. But it's cool because it's modular. There's actually 3 parts of it. And you could buy it as one box, or you could buy 3 separate playsets that went together, which is really cool. But no, I think it's great. The only downfall of Fort Kirium was that it was only around for a year, right? Like Brave Star is one of my absolute favorite lines. I just made a custom Brave Star for Spacey. I love you guys. Don't need to look far on my channel to see my love for Brave Star, but the playset I think is great. It's got playability. It's huge. The characters are big, but it's not as iconic. It's not as instantly recognizable as Grayskull. Grayskull was perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and so I want to address it because Vintage Toy Rush is saying that the Rambo HQ playset is right up there. There were dynamite playsets like the Sectar's Hive is incredible. The Rambo's playset, like you say, was great. G.I. Joe Headquarters is incredible. Like the play value for a G.I. Joe Headquarters, it's like I would say it's got more play value than Castle Grayskull. With all
the playability is spot on for that playset. Absolutely. I just don't think that the silhouette of it matches quite what Castle Grayskull did.
So when the few times when me and my friend Taverko will work a toy show, we'll go to have these on a table and we'll sell it. If we take a Castle Grayskull, even just a shell, and put it on the top shelf, our table gets twice as much attention as if we don't. People are drawn to it. Yeah. And there's this idea of like, there's a Castle Grayskull, they're going to have other great stuff as well. Right?
I know what you mean because I can, if I'm walking through a vintage toy store or going to a toy show, it does stand out and it does draw the eye. It's a character all in itself, but it's also like I love G.I. Joe, but and a play set is all well and good, but my Joes were always out on mission anyway. right? They didn't need to be in their base waiting for orders. They'd just be out on mission.
Yeah, like for me as a kid, that basically, not to get the violin out, I didn't have play sets in any of the toy lines that I had. Yeah,
Right.
as like Lilith said, we used my imagination, use the couch, use the coffee table, go outside, use the trees in the backyard. That they were basically my play sets as a kid. I think that play sets are great as an adult collector, like to help, display in your collection room. But I never felt like I was missing out much as a kid without having any major play sets. But yeah, I mean, the Castle Grayskull is something very difficult to replicate with a sofa or a cardboard box or something. But apart from that, yeah.
Right. Maybe we put a challenge out for the three of us and then the next guest. So Casey, you can make one if you want as well. But if we said you get a cardboard box, two Sharpies, and a roll of duct tape, who can make the best Castle Grayskull?
Cardboard, duct tape, and what?
And 2 Sharpie markers.
2 Sharpie markers. Wow, you're you're really putting a lot of pressure on us that aren't. You might just get a box, 2 Sharpies on top of it, and be done.
You didn't even tape them on there. No, I didn't.
Nah, it's just a box with the stuff inside, rattling around.
I'm lucky. I've got a creative 8-year-old that can help me and cheat. So I'm up for the challenge.
Now we're talking. Man. I love a good crafting challenge.
I got nothing, but I probably won't do it. Too much pressure.
Geek Strong says the Barbie Dream House is a must. I wonder if the Barbie Dream House price has gone up since that movie came out in the summer.
I still haven't seen it, but it's not that I don't want to see it. It's just that I haven't seen it, and I also don't want to see it. No, I might want to see it. I don't know. I'll see it. I haven't seen, but to be fair, I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet either. So it's not like, I haven't jumped on any of those bandwagons.
So I'll say this. This is going to be my soapbox. I've tried to watch Oppenheimer like twice now. Yeah. And I feel like I'm watching Instagram reels because it just like quickly cuts to these different scenes, like mid-sentence almost. Like it's like someone's scrolling. Yeah, right. And but it's just Nolan's doing his thing. But if you watch Fat Man and Little Boy with John Cusack and Paul Newman from like the late 80s, tells the same story, and Murdoch from the A-Team is in it, and he plays Oppenheimer, and that movie is fantastic. So just watch that.
I'll give that a crack. Have you seen Barbie though?
I haven't seen Barbie yet. When that came out, I was in the midst of hanging out with you in Canada, and so there were more attractive things to do than to watch Barbie. And then I just haven't watched it. I've been too busy.
We just played Barbie instead.
Shut up, man! That was
you said you were cool,
right? Absolutely. But those are the play sets of Motu, and I think that they were all great. They were all these like cool original sculpts. I think we all kind of agree that the Jungle playset would be better than the Snake Mountain playset. So maybe I'll have to take a crack at that one, see if we can make one of those up.
So one final question then, round table. If we had to eliminate one of those playsets from the group, which one would we eliminate?
Can you go back to the slides again?
So we have Castle Grayskull.
Castle Grayskull, yeah.
We have Point Dread.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Phil?
I was going to say we're definitely not eliminating your custom Grayskull.
Not that bad. Look at that.
That's definitely a keeper. That's top of the list.
That's the one. I kind of want to bring that to toy shows and put it up there and have people ask what it is and be like, it's not for sale.
Yeah.
just shut them down about it. Right? Just put it out there in the world like, what is it? I don't know. It's not for sale. It's a prototype.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. And the Slime Pit. And the Fright Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eternia.
Oh.
So for me, it's a toss-up and it's famine or feast, that we could either do without Point Dread or without Eternia. Like those are the two that it would be one of those that I would cut. Because Point Dread is like it's so small, and it's it's almost like an add-on to Grayskull, so it's not necessary. And then Eternia, because it's so big and I never had it and there's no nostalgia there, it's almost like that's not necessary either. So one of those two would be the one I would cut. Probably most likely cut Eternia, because Point Dread comes with a vehicle and it attaches to Grayskull, which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah, I probably go along with that, Adam. Actually, I'm pretty close. I probably would say the add-on that I would probably happily put aside. We've rubbished Eternia a little bit, but actually, if someone said, "Here's Eternia for you, Phil," I would say thank you very much. But
Get out of
thank
here.
you very much. I'll take that off. Yeah, Point Dread for me.
So I just want to address Chris before Casey gives us his answer, because I want to give Casey time to think. But Chris says, interesting question. Can I set the Crystal Palace She-Ra playset? Otherwise, we would go between Point Dread and Eternia. Eternia would almost be like a cult thing, and Point Dread would go. Yeah, I didn't bring up the Crystal Castle because it was like a She-Ra thing. Even though they're technically kind of the same line, they're kind of not. But I think that playset isn't as iconic as Grayskull, but it's every bit as good as Grayskull. It's a dynamite.
I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. I like it more than Snake Mountain.
Yeah, no, it's good news.
Yeah. Sorry, Casey, go ahead.
I would get rid of the slime pit.
Oh,
Hot
I
take.
never had it. I've never had it, so I don't feel that pull to it. And when I read that big book about the mini comics, and it did bring up the Eternia, so it was kind of cool there.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
So Eternia was in the mini comics?
yeah.
I am no Masters of the Universe fan if I don't know. Whose mini comic was it?
It was the same one that mentioned Keldor, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it was like the final one.
I bought a big book that collected all the mini comics, and I read that, and they had that in there.
So was that mini comic coming out at the same time as Eternia playset, though?
I don't know. I can't answer that. But
so if it came out in the
I enjoyed it.
Well, that's fine. I'm not judging anyone for liking it. I'm just judging the playset, not the person.
I like the slime pit.
I'll
so
never
much.
have it. I can't afford it. I'll never have it. I don't even consider it a Grell because Grells you kind of want.
Yeah.
And with the price, I'm not really that interested.
Well, but never say, "Hey, look who's here, Scotty Crusher."
Hey, how are
Good to see
you?
you.
Never say never though, Casey, because I thought I was done collecting Motu. I was like, I'm done. I collect all the figures. I don't want Rotar and Twistoid. Got them all. And then my friend Taverko gave me Rotar for my birthday last week. Now I got to find a Twistoid. So never say never before you get sucked back in. Someone's going to give you one of the Towers of Eternia, and you're going to be like, well, now I got to find it all.
Nah.
Welcome back, Adam. Welcome back to the game, buddy.
I knew it would be over.
I every year for Lent, I give up buying toys. So, and I made a decision that I am going to start my vintage Motu collection right after Lent. So I will start. I don't own anything, but I will start getting them then.
That's
Excellent.
amazing. Casey, can I be the guy who gives you a vintage original He-Man for your Motu collection?
Sure, I'd
All
appreciate
right.
it.
No problem. I got a couple
Have
extra.
the power.
So don't buy one. You got one coming from me. I'm going to help you kick it off, baby.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
brilliant.
But I love the slime pit so much that I printed myself a slime infected He-Man to go in there. So
Love it.
I thought that was so cool to have him in there.
He hold.
Yeah.
If I had it as a kid, I'd probably have more of that love for it.
Right. But the question then I have to ask you is, do you love this? Do you love the Harry Potter slime fit like that? Would that be the one that you'd keep in there?
If I was going to get one of them, I'd get the original.
Okay, good. Just double checking. This year at Joe Fest, that's going to be a hot item. Do you have the Harry Potter slime fit?
$10.
Yeah. Slowly slide it across.
So Casey, when you were a kid, did you have a big Motu collection then? Like you don't have the vintage stuff now. Did you have a lot as a kid, or?
I had a lot of the earlier figures. Probably about all of them.
Right. What was your favorite?
Beastman's always been my favorite.
Number one.
But yeah. Clawful, Whiplash, Trapjaw. Yeah.
All the bad
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even like Stinkor.
So now I need to just address the skunk in the room. All right. I feel like last season, we're talking like we have seasons here. Last season, I felt your hatred for Spikor was unwarranted but genuine.
Right.
Now I feel like it's a bit that you're like, I hate how crap is Stinkor. I just feel like it's a persona. Do you actually hate Spikor and Stinkor, or is this just a thing?
Stinkor stinks. Now you've called me out, so I'm gonna be upfront, right? I almost said the F word. I friggin' hate Spikor with a passion, right? With genuine hate for that character and that toy. It's just a garbage piece of garbage, right? But for some reason, this season I accidentally said Stinkor, and like I accidentally said Teela instead of Evil Lynn. And then to save face, I was like, no, this is my season 2 hate. But now that you've called it out, no, I really, really, really loved Stinkor as a child. It was one of my favorite toys. Stinkor and Mossman. I loved the stinky ones. And it was definite favorite of mine. But due to a flub in one of our earlier season 2 episodes, I messed it up and said Stinkor instead of Spikor. Spikor can absolutely just get lost, but Stinkor this season is on the train. Just for this season, he'll be back. He'll be back in my like list.
I love your commitment to that. It's very much like the Prime Minister of Canada a year and a half or so ago, maybe 2 years ago. Canada released a updated list of our banned firearms in Canada. The firearms you can that are on the ban list. And as a gag, because that's what you do in politics, someone put that list together. They put a couple airsoft guns on there, just like the toy airsoft guns. And so then when that was pointed out, to the Prime Minister was like, well, they're pretty dangerous, so we're going to leave them on there. He just doubled down. He's like, no, that's that. And so that's your commitment to Stinkor's the worst.
Yeah, Stinkor, Spikor. Next season will be, I don't know, Skeletor. That'll be a tough one to sell.
Just keep your hands off Web Store. That's the only thing I'm going to say. If you start talking trash about Web Store, we're not friends anymore, buddy. That's it.
All right, I wouldn't dare risk that, Phil. No way. I'll joke about a cricket bag, but I'll never joke about Web Store.
So this has never happened in the history of Motuesday Live, Motuesday Morning Show. But Geek Strong has just said his favorite was Squeeze and Scareglow. I think that the next guest I'm going to have on when I host my channel has got to be Geek Strong, because I need to talk to him about why Squeeze is his favorite. Because I don't see it as being a favorite, but I love
Adam, if you can do a Squeeze Scareglow mashup, I want to see that.
Squeeze Glow.
If you can combine those two, that'll look outstanding.
What if he's saying that they're his least favorite, though? What if he's saying those are the worst two?
Oh, okay. If they're his least favorite, he'll never be a guest on the show ever. If they're his favorite, he's the next guest. So let us know, Geek Strong, what we're doing here, if you're going to be on the show or not. And now he's going to not want to be on the show. And
Geek Strong loves the guns. It's all about the guns for Geek Strong. So of course, Squeeze is going to be a favorite.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. we'll see how that goes. But I just love when people have a favorite that's off. Like I love when Shabby Geek's favorite was Rio Blast. It's like the oddities in the Motu line when those are someone's like they resonate with somebody. I love that.
Yeah, like who was it? Dan, Ed 5 in his top 5 he had Extendor. It's like, what's that? Where did that come from?
We're like, no, this is a Motu show.
Yeah.
It looks like Geek Strong has solidifies itself as a guest because they say it's his favorite. So we're gonna have him on here talk about Squeeze and Scare Glow, and it'll be spooky themed. It'll be a spooky.
What are you gonna do if he comes on and then flips the script on you and goes, "Ha ha! I hate them."
Well, I'll say this. If that happens, and I'm not saying it won't, but if that happens, I've made a lot of friends on YouTube. Phil and Zazel and Casey, you guys are all people that I would consider genuine friends. But if that happens, I will have created not only an enemy but an arch enemy. I will have Geek Strong. If he plays me dirty like that and he flips the script, arch nemesis Lex Luthor to my Superman, or maybe I'm the villain.
Wow. This is some serious. We're about to see some serious
things,
some serious things,
right? So it'll be great. But Casey, what do you have coming up? You guys have moved your podcast onto YouTube in the last several months, and that's been going good. It's been fun to watch you guys do that stuff. What do you have coming up?
This coming Sunday we have Ronnie Trickshot and Lenny.
Nice.
From,
Aussie.
Them are coming on.
Oi,
Yes.
oi.
Nice.
We usually don't have topics. We just talk and get to know, make friends.
Yep.
That's all we really try to do with this podcast. So, we're never going to break news. It's never going to be fancy because I'm not a computer guy. I wish I was. I have a computer job, but I'm not really a computer guy.
I hope they're not watching right now. I don't know what I'm doing there. I just show up.
I could do what they want me to do. But as far as all this stuff, I would love to be able to do more for my show, but I just don't. With all the, like I say, it's not a job for me. It's something I love doing.
Right.
So I hope people get that when they watch.
Yeah, no, I love your show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think
it's so much fun.
I think a podcast that is topic like specific or too much grandeur, I guess, sort of takes away from the podcast part of it. Whereas if you're just hanging out, chatting, that's a good, easy listening way to go for a podcast.
Yeah, it's so much fun to do.
Nightwing.
Well, it's been great having you on.
It's available on Sundays.
It's great having these guests on. Like I've kind of known Casey for such a long time now through the chats and watching various podcasts and stuff. But to actually finally meet you, Casey, it's been great having you on Motuesday, buddy.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I love all three of your shows. So,
thanks, buddy.
Look at us just loving each other here, just like friends should.
Can we get another look at Casey's universe figure before we do go?
Let's take a look at
an apology to Space Commander. I didn't have time to hit him up for a PSA this week. That's just because I've been a bit busy. Nothing against Space Commander. He knows I love him. But we'll get another PSA for next time.
I love that you're apologizing for not making him work.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't make you work, Spacey. Wasn't personal.
There you go. Well, there's Smashore. There's Casey's figure, which is strictly just an amalgamation of 3 classic figures. But I think it works.
Yeah,
beauty.
Right. That's good news right there. But if you haven't yet, go check out Casey's podcast from the pit. It is great. It is full of awesome stuff and G.I. Joe stuff. And also, if you're watching the show, you're clearly already following Phil and following Zazel. But if you're not, go follow their channels for more fun stuff. We want to thank Casey for being here today. And that has been Motuesday.
Thank
We
you.
hope you have the great rest of your day because it's a morning show. But if for some chance you're watching this at night, we hope you have a great sleep, and we'll see you on the next show. And we'll do this to say goodbye.
2 eggs over easy, toast and jelly, coffee black as night. I know you order for you while you fill out immigration forms and flights. A date of issue, surname, passport, address, and postal code. You know all my numbers, check my boxes, I have nothing to disclose. Just the sand in my shoes and the wind in my hair. I'll come back empty-handed, I have nothing to declare. But the traveling